We were very excited to find out that Gordon Ramsay opened his newest Ramsey's Kitchen in St. Louis recently, so we knew that we had to try it. They offer breakfast, lunch, and dinner at this location, so we started with dinner, although we most definitely will be coming back to try the other menus as well.
I started with the St. Louis style ribs, which I thought was appropriate since we were actually in the city of St. Louis. Let me just say that these ribs were amazing. They were cooked to a perfect fall off the bone texture and had a very delicious smoke flavor. The sauce that came on top was also nice and tangy with just the right amount of heat at the end. I hadn't intended to get these ribs this visit, but I'm so glad that I did. These are some of the best St. Louis style ribs that I've ever had.
For my meal, I ordered the truffle mushroom risotto, and let me tell you, it was amazing. I've had this same dish at Hell's Kitchen in Las Vegas, and it was nowhere near as good as here. There isn't a single negative thing I can say about this delicious dish. There were big beefy chunks of mushrooms throughout, and the truffle flavor was balanced perfectly with the creamy sauce, and the risotto was cooked just right. You know it's an amazing meal when you battle with yourself because it's so good you want to share it, but you also don't want to miss out on a single bite. The next time we go back, I will definitely be ordering this incredible entree. I decided to order the side of baked mac and cheese to try because I love mac and cheese so much. A lot of times I'm disappointed because I'm really picky when it comes to mac and cheese. So when I take the first bite and I'm immediately in food heaven, I'm so elated. And that's exactly what happened with this side. It's everything you want in an incredible mac and cheese. It was so smooth and deliciously creamy, and it even had a nice smoky hint to it that just put it over the edge in my opinion. This most definitely was some of the best mac and cheese I've ever had and is a must-order side.
I had been looking forward to the crispy skinned salmon here at Ramsey's Kitchen all day long, only to get there and find out that the menu had been changed 2 days prior and the salmon was no longer on the menu. I just about cried. Our waitress talked about the dishes and sold me on the smoked chicken, which came with fingerling potatoes, roasted carrots, a smoked chicken quarter, and then a brown butter carrot puree, which she said was 2 pounds of butter to every 1 pound of carrot. They put a Parmesan crisp on the top as a garnish as well, which was more of a decoration. The dish looked very appetizing and did not disappoint. The chicken itself was very tender and juicy with a lot of flavor to it, and when dipped in the brown butter carrot puree, I could see why she steered me towards the meal. The fingerling potatoes were cooked to a crisp and were a very good addition to the meal. Overall, this meal was amazing and I would eat it again, assuming that the crispy skin salmon is not back on the menu. As usual, I ordered the potato puree as my side to share and was not disappointed. The potatoes were so buttery and delicious I couldn't quit eating them. This time they were topped with sour cream instead of creme fraiche, which was a different twist to Gordon Ramsay's normal potatoes. It was really good and I would eat them over and over again, but I do prefer the usual potatoes with the creme fraiche.
I was debating between the filet mignon and the fish and chips, but ultimately I went with the filet mignon and I had no regrets. As soon as I cut into this steak, I knew that it was going to be amazing because it was so buttery soft. The peppercorn sauce that was with my steak was a little bit strong, but even that didn't take away from how amazing the steak was. It came with a roasted onion on the side that was a little bit sweet, but I did wish that it had been just a touch softer. But seriously, this steak was incredible, and if you're considering getting it, I would highly recommend it. I also ordered a side of roasted carrots, which is a new side on the menu. I love carrots, but sadly, these were disappointing. First of all, the texture was just not right. I get that a lot of times carrots are served more al dente, but these were even more crunchy than usual. They were very undercooked, which was the first reason that they weren't enjoyable, but secondly, the carrots themselves had zero flavor, like none whatsoever. The only flavor that I could taste was the very spicy yogurt that was underneath of them. I didn't mind the flavor of the yogurt, but the spice level was just way too much for me to enjoy it. There are so many sides here that are incredible, so do yourself a favor and skip the carrots.
I've had the pleasure of trying the Beef Wellington at Gordon Ramsay restaurants several times, including in one of our previous videos at Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen in Las Vegas. Not only is the Beef Wellington consistently made every time I try one, it is also consistently delicious. There's something about that perfectly cooked and seasoned medium rare filet, surrounded by mushroom and herb paste and wrapped in the most delicious puff pastry that just makes everything feel right about this meal. The flavor and textures all come together beautifully. If you've never had an opportunity to try a Beef Wellington, I would strongly recommend it. On a side note, the Beef Wellington is served with some vegetables and mashed potatoes. The vegetables were good, but the potatoes were so creamy and delicious, they had a nice buttery flavor and complemented the Wellington nicely. For my side, I went with the Truffle Parmesan fries, which were so delicious. The fries were perfectly crispy without being overcooked and crunchy. They were also seasoned very well. The truffle and Parmesan flavor came through beautifully. Now these fries would have been amazing on their own, but the garlic aioli dipping sauce that came on the side really put them over the top. It was a creamy sauce with a perfect garlic flavor that greatly complemented the truffle Parmesan seasoning on the fries. I couldn't stop eating them. If you're having a hard time choosing a side to go with your entree, you may want to give these fries a try.
For my dessert, I wanted something chocolate, and when I saw that they had Madeleines and I love them, I decided to give that a try. Now let me explain, the only reason why this didn't get 5 stars was because the Madeleines were a little on the dry side. The flavor was still really good and the chocolate wasn't too strong or bitter. I just wish they wouldn't have been dry. The chocolate custard was so smooth and creamy, and I'm not sure what the topping was, but it added a nice little crunch. I decided to try a bite of the Madeleines with the chocolate custard, and that was definitely the way to go. The creaminess of the custard made the Madeleine not so dry at all, and they were delicious together. This was a really good way to end a spectacular meal.
I really wanted to try dessert here, but they were limited to just a couple of gluten-free options. One of which was the Pear Tatin, which I opted to try. I had no idea what to expect on this dessert, so I had no expectations. When it first came to the table, I couldn't tell if it was gluten-free, so I had to double-check the dessert menu, and it was. The pear looked like the apples inside of an apple pie and were sitting on top of this flaky little pastry. I tried the first bite and really enjoyed how buttery and sweet it was. I tried the caramel sauce on a bite next and really liked it because it added a hint of a salty flavor to the dessert. It was definitely good, but not something that I absolutely have to try again.
Of course, we can't eat at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant without someone trying the sticky toffee pudding. The one here was more traditional, but it did have cinnamon in the sauce, which was a fun change. Per usual, the date cake was extremely moist and the flavor was excellent. The toffee sauce was so sweet with just a touch of cinnamon like I mentioned, and then the ice cream was the perfect complement to the dessert. Even as full as I was from this incredible meal, I still ate almost all of it because it was that amazing.
We enjoyed this Ramsey kitchen even better than the last one in Las Vegas. But you can click here now to watch our video about that next and decide for yourself which one looks better.